still got one more year, right? See if anybody wants to do it.
we wait for, we're supposed to gather at 11:30, but I understand that some of the fried chicken was delayed. And so we would gather about 11:45, quarter to 12. All right, we're going to call our meeting to order. And then I invite you all to please rise and open to page 20 of the leaflet for our opening hymn. May you please rise.
Thank
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take counsel here at Christ Episcopal Church for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. May you please be seated. I want to thank all of you for being here this afternoon. I would call for the appointment of the parliamentarian. The parliamentarian is Jill. So Jill, you want to stand for folks to see you? Jill. Well, Jill has certified that we have a quorum. And so we would invite Patrick Frith, J.B. Hansen, and Kathy Sims to come forward for one of us to move that we accept them to be the appointments of being tellers and secretary. Oh, and Jan is also part of it? All right, come on up. Kathy, where's Kathy Sims? All right, Kathy Sims, all right. Will one of us move that we accept Patrick, Jan, and JB as the tellers? Oh, hold on. And then Kathy as the secretary. Second, all in favor? All of contrary minds? Well, thank you all very much. So thank you. So, yeah.
Seems like it was just last year. Okay. Most of the folks know this procedure, but it's okay if you don't. Questions are always allowed, okay? The first thing you will get, or the first two things you will get, is a voter certification sheet, okay? This basically says, you write your name and you sign it, and you say, I am baptized, my baptism is recorded in the church's records, I am 16 years of age, have been attending services for at least 3 months, and I'm a financial giver of record. For anyone under 21, the household itself must be a giver of record. So anyone 16 years of age or older can vote in this. The other thing we will give you is a list of nominees. Now, I know that everybody's taken the time to review the nominees and their information both in here and in our handouts and on the website, so I'm not going to worry about that. Thank you. The next step after you've printed your name and you've signed is you'll then hold this sheet up. Sorry, I keep forgetting. You'll hold this sheet up. We will collect these and we will make a trade. You give us this, we'll give you a ballot. Very simple. If you need a pencil, we've got them. Just let us know. The one thing you want to make sure of is next to each candidate's name, there is a number. And take your pencil, your number 2 pencil, and just fill in the number that you need for that person. Now you can choose, there are 5 candidates. You can choose 5, but your ballot will not be counted. You can choose 3, 5 is right out. But you need 4 candidates up to 4 candidates that you can select. Just please note that the numbers are not sitting in a straight line, but you can find them. They are there, and we need those because those are the numbers that we're going to read. If you fill out a number that's different, it's not going to get read. So, are there any questions? Which I'm happy to answer. Yes.
When we give you the green sheet has the numbers before it's
Yes. Yes. The green sheet that we will give you at the same time we hand out the blue sheets. Stuff. So, this is a hand-raising ceremony of many proportions. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we have to use pencils or for the machine instead?
Rather you use pencils because that's what it was designed for way back in the dawn of time. Right, exactly. Okay. So at this point, the first raising of the hand is all people who will want to be certified to vote. Raise your hand, and we will go amongst you and give out the forms.
As the tellers pass out the forms, I want to invite all the nominees to come forward so at least we can see them in person. So Kadi is here. Come on, Kadi. Denisa is here. Come on, Denisa. David James is here. Denom is here. And Jim Bergson is also here. So you want to come forward so folks can see you. So these are our nominees for the Vestry, and we want to thank you all for offering yourselves to serve. Thank you very much. If you don't know them, so that's Denisa and Kadi, Jim, Denholm, and David. So thank you all very much. Thank you. You may now sit. Yep.
There's one.
Anyone else not have a certification and a list of candidates?
There's one thing I just wanted to clarify. I'm Greg Schuckman. I'm a member of the Vestry, and I'm not up for election. Denise is our senior warden, so she is up for re-election. So for her to continue as senior warden, you need to re-elect her. So I just want that to be clear.
I just feel the need to say that Denicia has been a wonderful senior warden. If you wish to vote for her, vote for her. But if you, for some reason, don't want to vote for her, someone else will be appointed senior warden. So I apologize, but we're not supposed to really bias votes.
Right.
Okay, second half. And thank you, as always, for advocating. As John Belushi famously said in Animal House. Sorry. So, now hold up your blue forms, your blue certificates, and we will trade you that for the ballot right now. listen to this guy. No, not me.
We'll come up with the ballots in a moment.
That's anything for this one person. Oh, they're all in the same blue form? Yeah, then you should, let me go get you two other ones that you didn't. Okay. Has everybody had a chance to turn in their ballot? And if anybody who's not here, raise your hand. If that is the case, then we will adjourn, or we will pick up the ballots now. We're out. I only do this once a year. If anybody filled out a ballot by mistake or did something wrong on it, didn't use the right number that they're designated, just let me know. I'll get you another ballot and rip up the first one. This one is blank, so it is nobody. They voted for nobody. Anybody's ballot not been selected? It's up. So sorry, ma fight your like me. Any other ballots? Last chance.
Stacy, did you get yours? Okay. All right, so do we have everyone's blue sheet and everyone's ballot? We got one ballot, and we also have already brought the proxy ballots, not proxy, but the
The ones from the
dropped off ones by people who can't attend today, they dropped off. We have those there.
That's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Celeste, for the good work. And thank you to each and every one of you for being here this afternoon. This afternoon. I am so glad that we are all gathered together as the church to make important decisions for this congregation. I want to begin with a funny story about one Sunday when it was time to go to church. Johnny's mother called him out and said, "Johnny, today is Sunday. It is time to get ready for church." "I'm not going to church today," Johnny said. "I will watch the service on TV." "That's all right, Johnny," the mother said. "When it's dinner time, watch the KFC commercial on TV." Johnny is still at church as I speak. I want to begin by expressing my sincere thanks to all of you, for being a part of this community. It gives me great joy to see you each week and journey in faith with you. Nothing is as humbling and fulfilling for me than to serve you, and I enjoy serving you. I am so blessed and thankful that I'm able to serve you. There's a story in Exodus chapter 4 about the appearance of God to Moses in the burning bush. Moses was tending his father-in-law's sheep when they went up the mountain. But on the mountain, Moses saw a bush which was burning, but it wasn't being consumed. Out of curiosity, Moses approached the bush until he heard the voice of God telling him to remove his sandals, for he is standing on holy grounds. There on the mountain, God invited Moses on a mission of liberation. Moses was to lead the liberation of the enslaved people of God in Egypt. Moses was very adamant about this mission because he himself had fled Egypt after killing an Egyptian. And part of the reason Moses was resistant to this mission was that he himself did not know this God, nor did the people that he was being sent to liberate knew about this God. And then Moses asked this question: what if they do not believe me or listen to my voice? And so in an effort to prove himself to Moses and to provide some confidence to the people that he indeed was the God of their fathers and he had sent Moses, God asked him, what is that in your hand? What is that in your hand? A staff, Moses replied. Throw it to the ground, the Lord said. Moses threw it to the ground, and it became a snake. Moses ran away from it. The Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand and grab it by the tail. Moses reached out his hand and touched the snake, and the snake turned back into a staff in his hand. The staff became the visible presence of God. The staff became the visible presence of God. It became a tool with which Moses manifested the glory and power of God. Moses used that staff to strike the Red Sea and pave the way for the people of God to walk on dry ground. He used that staff as support to climb Mount Sinai for the 10 Commandments. The staff was more than a symbolic presence of God. Moses used that staff to liberate. And I believe that God is asking us the same question. What is it in your hand? And God is asking us this question as we begin the process of reflecting on God's mission for us in this sacred space and at this sacred time. So one of the important things I've learned about ministry is that it is in this quote: no one plants a tree for today. No one plants a tree for today. When we plant a tree, we do so for the sake of others. And that is what I believe the mission of the church has been throughout the ages. So whenever I walk to my office and see the pictures of our former rectors lined up on the wall in the hallway, I'm reminded of the fact that those who started this congregation, those who put sweat and toil in this congregation, did not do it only for themselves. These rectors and nameless and countless and hundreds and probably thousands of parishioners did not do the work of ministry for themselves alone. They did it for the sake of you and I. And our task is to ensure that the tree that they planted continues to grow. See, unlike many congregations, Christ Church is a thriving and growing congregation with vibrant ministries. I am proud of the work we do to always bring new life and energy into this congregation. But the truth, the hardcore truth, is that our present model of generating income to support our congregation is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. And if we agree that it isn't sustainable, then you and I are duty bound to find creative ways in which we can sustain ourselves and this congregation going forward. See, there are several congregations And I served in, this is my fourth congregation. My first congregation, Atlanta, had over $30 million in endowment. The one in Columbia, South Carolina, had over $20 million in endowment. The one in Philadelphia, my last congregation, had over $10 million in endowment. But we do not have an endowment. Or if we had one, it's no longer there. And so each year we have to rely on each other's faithful support to keep our ministries going. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am for that. But the question still remains, what is it in your hand? Unlike Moses, who only had a staff, we have four. We have four. We have each other. We have strong and dedicated lay leaders. We have access to great minds. And we have a piece of land that we can use. In my humble opinion, we must use what we have to build the future that we want. Like Moses, we have to use the staff in our hand to accomplish the purposes of God. God encourages us to have a vision. There's nothing wrong with having a vision. But every vision has to be scrutinized for us to assess its viability. But it is always a great gift to have a vision. And part of having a vision is planting a tree. Having a vision doesn't mean that you will accomplish that vision the next day, the next month, or the next year. But it creates an avenue through which you can orient yourself to making that vision come to life. There's a story in the Acts of the Apostles where a lame man by the temple gate asked Peter and John for money. But Peter said, "I have no silver and gold, but I give you what I have. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, walk." The lame man rose up and walked. We may not have silver and gold, but like Peter, we have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. And it is through our faith that we can accomplish the impossible. This morning, you will hear from some of our parishioners who have been asked to share some thoughts with us. These thoughts are meant to help us see where we are and what we need to do going forward. No one has made any decision. In fact, we cannot make any decision without your input. And this session is not about making a decision. It is about laying the bare facts. So when you come with a plan, when we come with a plan, you can make an informed decision. So this past Thursday when I wrote my article, I said something, and I want to repeat what I said, part of it. Jesus said, "Render your heart and not your garment." So we need a heart that is passionate, a heart that is discerning, a heart that is open to welcoming ideas and suggestions of others. We need a heart that seeks to support the well-being of this congregation. We need a heart that will commit to working as hard as possible to nurture a dream for our congregation. We need a heart committed to the future and the long-term sustainability of this congregation, we need a heart that believes itself to be accountable, not only to the present, but also to the future. Sometimes we forget what it is that we have in our hands. But I want to remind you that whatever it is you have in your hand, God can use it to achieve God's purposes. It is my hope that when the time comes, we will all coalesce around a common vision and let that vision guide us into the future. Again, I want to thank you for blessing this sacred ground with your presence, your time, your treasure, and your talent. And may God continue to richly bless you. Amen. I will now invite the treasurer to come forward.
The report I provided and that you have in the bulletin doesn't tell you much. We do provide the financial results in January, so you all had an opportunity to read them then. They're read to the vestry, which approves them, and it becomes part of the minutes, so part of the church record at that time. So I don't include them in the annual report, but I'll give you some numbers here because I had to look them up because I don't remember back from January either. In 2024, we brought in about $748,000 in revenue, which was $59,000 more than we planned. It was more than our budget. Our expenses were about $10,000 more than we planned. And that just sort of happens over the course of the year. You look at something, well, we need to put some money there, or there's an opportunity for us to improve something, and we don't have to wait till next year's budget to fix it, so the vestry will vote on that. The result was we ended up with $49,000 or $50,000 more money at the end of the year than we planned on. That's a remarkable achievement, certainly in my experience, and I'm pleased that we were able to do that. Because what the opportunity that created for us is that we were able to set aside some funds for future needs, whether it be the reserve to replace the roof, because one day it will need to be replaced. We're talking about deferred maintenance in that case, and we have a lot of that around here. Windows, doors that need to be replaced, and we just haven't got the reserves to go ahead and do it. So we're working toward building that, and that's part of what that surplus did for us, is to be able to build those reserves so that when we're ready to commit, that we have the funds to do it. To that end, we'll be talking later in this meeting about progress toward updating our campus, not only what we already have, but maybe creating something new. And part of that will be dealing with that deferred maintenance so that we are looking at a campus that looks great and where everything works and that it meets our needs now and for the next however many years, hopefully well beyond my lifetime. In 2025, we budgeted, that's this year, to hire a part-time associate rector. We put out for a position, we had one applicant, and they declined our offer. So we don't have a part-time associate rector. And what we learned from that is that once you graduate from seminary, you want a full-time job, and we weren't offering that. So the takeaway is we need to create a position for a full-time associate rector. That's not in the 2025 budget, and though we haven't completed the 2026 budget, I don't think it's going to be in there either, just because it costs money to do that, and I don't think the money will be available yet. My intention is to figure out how to get that into 2027 budget, and the 2024 results suggest that we ought to be able to achieve that as long as we stay on task and keep that as a priority for us. And that's all I had to share. Were there any questions that people would like me to speak to? Yep. We have not touched our reserves much, so they continue to remain where they were. Obviously, as I described, we work to increase them. We have a fair amount of money set aside in what we call encumbrance accounts, which are basically reserve accounts that will allow us to ensure that we can weather most storms. But at the same time, if every door we have to fix, and I want to say there are like 12 in this building alone that needs to be replaced, is $8,000 to $10,000, replacing all the doors is a whole lot of money. And we don't want to deplete the reserve so we have no cushion should something we didn't plan on happen. I want to say the number is currently, for buildings and grounds, their reserve is over $100,000. So it's not small change, but when you consider the costs of replacing a bunch of doors or the windows, it looks like it might be insufficient. But it is heading us in the right direction, and 2024's contribution to that will help. And yeah.
So in my recollection, the word endowment has been tossed around for pre-COVID, at least since pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And my experience is that in my personal life, if I don't start to put in my 401k in my 20s, I will not have enough to survive in my retirement. And we keep using this word, but I wonder where we are in actually putting the first $1,000 in, or allowing the entirety of the congregation to put in whatever they feel is appropriate for that year. Because if we just talk about it, we will never have it. And it's also my experience that you need, in terms of planning, if you have $1 million put away and your goal is growth in income, you need to have growth to at least match the growth in the economy. You've got to make up so that today's dollar is always worth today's dollar in 10 years from now dollar. But $1 million should, if you're accounting for growth, should provide about $40,000 in income, which could be used. So our goal should be somewhere around $10 million at least. And that's a huge amount of money, and it's inconceivable, and it's enough to make people say, no, we shouldn't go that way. We'll never get to 10 million. But we'll never get to 1 million unless we start today.
Yes,
So is this something that we're actually going to attempt to do? Or is just this something that, well, we wish we had an endowment, we wish we had somebody that put in the first 40,000, instead of saying, can everybody put in just a little bit and get this ball started? So what is the Vestry's thinking on this? Is this something we're really considering, or is this a word that we like to use?
It's not something that comes up often in the Vestry conversation, but I can say that, as you recall, around just before the pandemic, we did start fundraising toward an endowment. However, that's not on the front burner right now, and that's that lack of attention you were describing. So the balance right now is about $10,000, well short of $1 million or $10 million. But it is there and is available for folks who want to contribute to that endowment. You'll also be hearing from the 300-year anniversary legacy project, and the expectation or the desire for that is that it would generate some income much like an endowment would. And that's leveraging that land that we have available. The key, of course, is figuring out how to do that in a way that doesn't change the character of our campus. And that's something that people are thinking a lot about. There are a lot of conversations in the Vestry and beyond within our community on that topic.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? Ed?
Can I just say also, in the last year, Vestry has been trying to make Vestry calls to families, and I know I don't pick up my phone either, but when I don't know the number, is this even working?
Yeah.
But that's what we want to hear from you when we call, or if we email, is, hey, I'm curious what's going on with that endowment fund. Have we started working on that? I heard this in church one time. What's going on with this? So if you see a number and it's not, and they leave a message, because I did, then, you know, if you want to call us back and just give us that feedback, because you're the ones that we work for, not, I don't get paid for it, but we work for you, right? So ask those questions. When you see somebody at the vestry table in the back, there's somebody there every single service. Ask those questions, because that's what gets us. I just took a note of that and made it for the vestry meeting this month. But, you know, that's what we want to hear from you all. And we can hear it all the time, not just at this meeting.
Thanks, Ed. Anything else? And to Ed's point, I'll get to you, Ann. This isn't your last chance to ask a question. I'm in church most Sundays. Ed is here. There are other vestry members around as well, and are happy to speak to whatever questions you have. Ann?
Drew, can you tell us how many pledging units we have at Christ Church?
I don't know. Greg, do you know that answer? No. I'm not on the
Someone should know.
stewardship committee, so I'm sure that someone could.
Father Manning?
Yeah, we have about 145.
145?
Pledging units.
Yeah.
And then,
It is 10 of my phone, so.
Just come over here. Father Manning, just come over here.
It is a little tricky because we have parishioners who actually pledge but do not fill out the pledge card, or they do not want us to consider their giving as pledges. So if we are looking at the number of people who actually give on record, you know, that it's about 200, you know. But those people who submit pledges, this is my pledge, it's about 145 thereabout. But the people who give, you know, and they are parishioners and who give, haven't filled out pledges, if you add all of them, we're talking about maybe 200 people.
that's another third then.
That's right.
For some reason, they don't want to be doing this.
That's right.
So, what's the size of our congregation? We have 4 congregations, 3 services.
Oh, so.
Also online. Can you give us a sense of the size of our congregation?
It's a big congregation, as you can
But I come to 10.
Yeah,
I
they-
don't know how many people come to the other services.
Okay, so I would say, I think about 2 or so weeks ago, I was telling the staff members that we want our baseline to be 200 average Sunday attendance. So for all 3 services, we want to have at least 200 people. But if we look at only the people who are in here, you know, before COVID, we can only look at the people who are in here. But post-COVID, we are looking at the people who are worshiping online and the people who are worshiping in here.
Which is why I asked about all
That's
that.
right.
It's our 4th congregation.
That's right.
So
That's
you
right.
say we want to be at about 200 in attendance.
That's right.
What are we actually doing then in attendance?
To encourage people to attend? The average? That's a difficult question.
Okay, what are we reporting on our parochial report?
So on our parochial report, it's about 211, I think. 210, 211.
And does that include the online?
No.
Okay, that's in person?
That's in person. That's in person.
Average per Sunday?
Yeah, average per Sunday. Yeah. Yep.
So, Ann, just one thing I would add is that the pledge giving represents 71% of our current giving. And the plate offering, which is basically those folks who are giving but aren't pledging, or people who are pledging and who are giving over and above their pledges, is about 13% of total giving. Sarah?
So pursuant to Ann's question about pledging units, our budget, which we decide in December, is based on pledges alone plus your estimate from plate giving, correct?
Yeah,
So
it is an estimate because.
So if one doesn't actually put a pledge card in, then their contributions aren't counted in making the budget for the following year as accurately.
Yeah, it would be more accurate if we could simply rely on pledging to come up with the budget. But the reality is that life happens for a lot of people. If you are working for the government and you are furloughed right now, your income is not what it was a month ago. And how do you manage your household expenses? So that needs to be factored in the budget in some way, so that there is a bit of a guessing element to that. Is that it? Charles?
Listening to all the talk about endowments, I'm wondering if we could have one of those charts, like that one there, and people just weekly, monthly, whatever, pay money into an endowment. The vestry can still come up with what you're going to do with the land, what extra thing you're going to do. Meanwhile, even if it's just a drop, those drops eventually will fill the bucket. I mean, even if it's 3 or 4 year plan, you don't have to put a time limit on it.
Right.
But it might be a good idea to encourage people to put in a little bit each week or a little bit each month, just to get the whole thing going.
Oh, absolutely. Like as I said, the endowment fund exists, though it's only, I don't know,
You've just got different
$10,000
names
or
for
so
it.
dollars.
Reserves and whatever.
The point of an endowment is it will be with us forever.
Yes.
300 years from now,
Yes,
from now they'll
exactly.
be saying, wasn't it great that those folks in the 2020s built this endowment?
It was just an idea.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
So certainly if you choose to give to the endowment, just mark your contribution as such and it will find its way to the endowment fund.
Good.
Thank you.
Hearing about an endowment, because endowment is different from a savings. I have not heard that we really have established an endowment.
Yeah, as I said, it's not a big dollar amount. The effort was in establishing the rules around it, so it has its own rules around how it's managed. And that was all part of that, establishing that endowment. But it is, in the end, a savings account of sorts. But it's meant to not be tapped into because we can find a use for that $10,000. It's meant to generate income to both build the endowment and fund church needs. When was it established?
I think it was in 2019 or
I think-
2020, thereabout, yeah.
A savings account that we could tap into, because if you have an endowment, you can only use the interest from that.
Yep, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, so an endowment has its own rules that are established at the time it was created. Our endowment stipulates that we can't spend any more income than it generates. So the principle remains intact indefinitely.
My question would be, with the endowment, do we have any financial people here that can invest our endowment, that it will grow? Because the church I was in, we had a lot of financial wizards that when we put so much up, they put it into the vehicles that it grew. And that's the only way you can really get an endowment to grow, if you put it in investments and let the money work for us.
Yeah, we have an investment committee that we're actually just starting to pull together to try and do a better job with it to ensure that it continues to grow.
And to give you the example of that, the 401k came out. I didn't understand it. So I put in 13% of what I was making in overtime for a week. Well, at the end of 9 months, to get this endowment off and running. Because it seems like it's been stagnated for a while, this means just listening to what I hear. Well, we need to get off of what we're sitting on and get it going.
Yeah, that becomes a challenge of prioritization. It's which is more important. You know, do we spend money on buildings and grounds? Do we launch an initiative to help feed the flock here or to grow the flock? Or do we put money into endowments so that 300 years from now people will benefit from our efforts? And it's a balancing act, just like with your household budget. Do I have enough money to go out to eat this week, or do I have to eat at home? It's right. It's choices we make.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not on the financial committee, but I am an investment person, and there is a way through charitable. I don't know if people heard of charitable giving. Where each individual in this congregation, if they choose to, they can contribute to some sort of life insurance policy that's in, I don't want to get into specifics, where the death benefit goes to the church, and the cash value is a living benefit where the church could use it as they see fit. So the endowment will be the death benefit, and then the living benefit also could be a part of the endowment if you choose to, or you could also use it. And that's a faster way to accumulate money, because that money is invested. And there's a guaranteed amount, and there's also an investment amount, and that, like he said, it multiplies. And it's a few dollars. It's not like a person has to invest a lot of money, 10, 20, or 30, 40, or $50, or whatever you can afford. It gets that type of policy. And if everybody even does a $20,000, $50,000 policy in this congregation, you do the math. And then you also have the cash value that grows. So that's something you might want to look into.
I just want to say what I suspect Father Manny is thinking, which is this is great. And if all of these people are excited about an endowment, let's create an endowment committee and figure out how to encourage people to do it. In terms of investments, most people here probably don't know that we used to have a cemetery trust, which was to fund the cemetery. In 2008, we lost a whole lot of money in that cemetery trust, and we also had to tap into it just to keep the place going. So Drew's point is there's this constant struggle, and an endowment is great, but the vestry's not pushing it because they need our money just to keep the place running. Father Mandy started out saying that we don't have the revenue coming in to support us the way that we do. So everybody who wants to do an endowment, send your email to Drew. And Drew, you don't have to be the committee head, but give everybody else's email, and we can create an endowment committee.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, before you go, would one of us move that we accept the treasurer's report? Second. But I thought the treasurer is your husband, so how could you move? All right. All in favor? All of contrary minds? All right, thank you all very much. Thank you very much, Drew. All right, now we're going to invite Ray and his committee to come forward. Yep. Where's the microphone? Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, we're not going to take any questions. Don't. We are a committee that was formed to look at what we should do with what I'll call the excess land on our campus here. And there has been a lot of work and due diligence done behind the scene at little to no cost to the parish at all. it's a year and a half or so ago, at a meeting we had, there was a model that was built by an architect and a sketch of what could be built. And I think that gave people the wrong impression that we were charging ahead, had done a lot of things, made decisions, and not really talked with you all. The reality is the opposite. Sonny, who I don't know if he's here. Right there, Sonny. Sorry. Was kind enough to use his connections and get an architect to do some work pro bono, free, on what could be an idea to be used. But that's it. We've held some discussion groups within the parish about ideas for what we could do. And it ranges from let's do nothing to why don't we build this and have a daycare or whatever. You know, with anything, as Father Manny said, we could sit and do nothing. And some people would be happy with that, and that's fine. But the trends nationally, locally, is that church attendance is declining, the funding of churches is declining, and we've got to look beyond today to figure out what to do. So where we are now is Father Manny is discussing with a group that we will eventually hire to do a marketing study to look at what we could build, and what would serve the market. So I'm using these strictly as an example only, but is there a market in this area for daycare? Is there a market to build a hall where we could rent the hall out to third parties for events? Any variety of things. We have a totally open mind. There's no decisions have been made, no preconceived notions, but we are waiting for this report. We'll commission it soon. Could take 2-3 months to get done. A parishioner was kind enough to donate significant funds to pay for it. We've also applied for a grant to get funds to pay for it. So we are trying to be very careful not to use parish money at this point. The idea is to get the study back. We in turn would look at it, ask questions, do our own due diligence, and then come back to the parish and report. Here's what we have, what's been uncovered, I should say, as to what would be a viable option. And then at that point, take a look at how big the building would have to be, how much money would have to be raised, those kinds of things. We could also look at Howard County itself, what permits and approvals we would need to do that. So the key is, I know some people were walking around with the idea that things have been decided. Absolutely not. And the people up here have done a very good job of keeping costs down to next to nothing, as I said. So stay tuned. We will report back to you. Any decisions on what to do would obviously involve you all and your voting on it, but we have an asset here that I think we'd be negligent if we didn't pursue due diligence to understand what could we do with this land. So, and as Jan said, anybody who would like to join this committee to help, Cheryl, you chuckled, so we'll take that as your volunteering. So we appreciate that. But we would have to raise money in a capital campaign to do this. And a portion of those funds would have to be used to take care of deferred maintenance here at the church. George has done a yeoman's job of working on the cemetery and issues related to that, which are going to cost money, the doors, other things. So we're sort of balancing both, but we recognize we have to take care of deferred maintenance. And, a great discussion about endowments, but pushing an endowment when we don't have enough money to do deferred maintenance, I don't know. We have to work on both, but if more money starts going into the endowments and less money into our operating funds, then we might have an issue in the short term. So, but any questions or?
How soon do you expect
Well, the marketing study, I would think. The feasibility market study. I'm sorry, we're calling it the same thing. That, I think, next 30 days maybe?
Yep.
And then it's their timing as to when they can get it done. My guess right now is 2 to 3 months. And then after that would come in, and we would need to look at it, not accept it as gospel, but do some of our own due diligence to make sure that we agree with the study, or one, and two, have they properly documented all of their conclusions?
So are we asking the company to make specific recommendations and everything possible? Are we in our directions and are we limiting what we're asking them to study? Just give us some sense of what we're asking.
Well, that's a great question. It's sort of, I was a commercial real estate loan officer, and we had very specific instructions when we ordered an appraisal of a property. And so we would have to we're going to go through with them everything we want in the study. But we want to be very careful as to not influence them and say, well, we want it to be this or we want it to be that. It's going to be basically what would be legally permissible on this property and fit in with the character of this campus being a church. But we're not, I use daycare and an events hall as an example only. There's going to be no influencing or steering them in a direction.
When you say legally permissible, do you mean like current zoning?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yes. Now, we may, when we get into the legal side of it, we've got to explore, what's legally permissible under zoning. If we want to do something that's not under current zoning, you have to get a special exception. How long does that take? What's the likelihood of that? I imagine some of our neighbors may not be happy with that. They want it to remain as it is. But we want a very neutral report with the conclusions well documented. That's a good question.
If it comes up with, are you accommodating for parking if one of these things is built on it? Because that's additional land that we'd have to develop. Because the parking now is just sufficient for the church.
That is correct. And in going through Howard County, and I guess the Columbia Association for approvals, one of the things they always do is check for adequacy of parking. So by way of example, with retail, if you're building something with retail, they want 4 parking spaces for every 1,000 square feet of building, new building. I'm not sure what it would be because I don't know what we would consider doing. But yeah, there would be adequacy of parking. So we can't rob Peter to pay Paul in this. We need adequate parking for all our services and that as well. Any other questions?
You mentioned the pro bono survey or whatever of the drawings. Is that available? Is that something we can take a peek at? Having tagged along with Jan and Shar and George, I'm curious about buildings and ground stuff, and I'd be interested in seeing what it might look like.
Thank you, Dave. Those are just schematic drawings. They are sketches that we did to just be able to plan, to see what could fit into the place. If you want those, I can make those available, but they are just sketches, and there's nothing firm that is done. We just said, if we need to do this, what do we do? And we did the sketches. And talking about parking, for each sketch we do, we have to know the number of parking spaces required to have that space to be viable. So they are not, we haven't developed it into design development because we don't know what you have to do. We're just working with, I think last year, Denise and Greg had a lot of home meetings with different groups, and some ideas came from that, and those are part of what is going into this feasibility study. And so once that comes out and there's a need for design or a firmer design that could show you a lot more things, that could be made available.
I'm not going to rely on the feasibility study. If I have money today, I'll put up an entertainment center plus a conference center. Because all the activities you are going to have, most probably is going to be during the week and weekends. So if you have a hall, you can rent that out for conferences during the week. Then you have the entertainment center on weekend. And some will happen during the week. Now let me give you an example of, I think that is, I can't think of the name of the company. They are next to the district court in Ellicott City. They have a very beautiful hall, which people rent for conferences during the week, including the state of Maryland. So I would advise, if I have money today, that's what I would do. An entertainment center and a conference center where people will come and have meetings and do things. And on weekends, you will not believe what will happen on weekends. There will be party every weekend. I can assure you of that. But let's see what the study says. But I'm not going to follow the study. If I have money, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, whatever we would end up selecting, obviously with you all, your approval, there's going to be pluses and minuses to doing it. I mean, it's just the way it is. And having an events place, having conferences during the week would not interrupt the function of the parish. Having weddings or events on Saturday nights, as long as everything's properly taken care of, wouldn't interfere with Sunday. But there's going to be pluses and minuses. We're going to have to balance everything. And if we get to that point where we have like an events hall, we're going to need to have our own internal rules and regulations and staff members to run it, not volunteers, but paid people to do it. And all of this, in these cases, would be understanding that we're looking at what we can rent, for instance, a hall for, subtract out operating expenses, and have a net profit to us. So there's a lot of steps to it, but we would go through everything with you all. But thank you. You're right on point. Yeah, that's a good point. Everything we're looking to do is to generate income, extra additional income to the parish. So if something turns out to be just break even or negligible cash flow or negative cash flow, we don't want to do it. It's got to supply an additional source of income which would become regular recurring income, which Drew can put into the budget for next year.
I'm going to stop taking notes and ask a question for a minute. Wondering if we have contacted someone at the diocese they have expertise with helping other churches in the state of Maryland to do similar type things. Have we contacted someone in the diocese and worked with them? I know there's a church in Baltimore County that is putting in workforce housing, and they've gotten grants from the state. It actually is a huge deal, but they use expertise from the diocese to help them do that. So they are doing that with other churches, and it may be a good idea to contact, I believe it's Canon Christopher, who may be the person that could help us and with our ideas and different options.
Yes, we had a lengthy conversation with someone at the diocese level. Our conversation with her focused primarily on, in her opinion, knowing our parish, how much does she reasonably think we could raise in a capital campaign? Yes, ma'am. Right. And in that conversation, she suggested other people that we could go to. And we will certainly contact them and rely on them. But we're just trying to get a feel between this feasibility market study that's going to be done and maybe ballpark what we can raise in a capital campaign, what we think we might be able to do, because we don't want to go to people and have them start charging us money and we don't know what we're doing. And if we can give them some direction first, that helps. But we got the names of several people that can help with development, share experience from other projects they've done for churches, as well as an organization, I believe Mittendorf, which lends money to churches to help with preferred financing terms. So yes, ma'am, that's part of sort of the next step.
Anybody else? Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. You've done a wonderful job. And then now I'm going to move on to Tony, who's going to talk to us briefly about the 300-year anniversary and which theme won the most votes. All right.
Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tony. I go to the 8 o'clock service. There are about 50 of us that go to 8 o'clock, just saying. The votes that everyone gave today, the theme for today, for the 300-year anniversary. Oh, real quick, Robin couldn't be here. She's under the weather, so I'm here to be the voice for Robin. And I'm also helping her with a lot of the behind-the-scenes things for the 300th celebration. But the choice that everyone voted on that won was the first one, Learning from Our History, Living into the Future, with the most votes, so that'll be the theme. And then there's a box that looks like this. There's one back there. There's one on the brown bookshelf downstairs, and this one will go in the back of Old Brick as well for comments, suggestions for the 300-year anniversary. Starting next month, we will have monthly updates to our calendar. Our webpage will be updated as well. So there are 7 or 8 committees that are a part of the 300-year anniversary. We will provide monthly updates for them. Some of those committees are meeting monthly at this point. It's 2 years away. That's only 24 meetings, or 2 sets of 12, or 3 sets of 3. It's coming quick, and so we will start to get more information out and to do different events and things like that for the 300-year anniversary. So you'll start to see more routine communication from Robin and the whole group of people that are a part of that. That's it.
Thank you very much. All right. I've been given the green paper, and just to share with you that we have you all have elected the following parishioners to serve on the vestry: Denisa, Katie, Jim, and David. So thank you all. And many thanks to you, Denham, for offering yourself to serve. And so after this meeting, all vestry members who are here, old ones and new ones, we will meet in the sacristy after the service. Any other business for the good of the group? Any other questions for the good of the group? There being none, I invite one of us to move that we adjourn our annual meeting. Second? All in favor? All of contrary minds. If you want to spend the afternoon with me, you are more than welcome to do so. But I invite you to please rise and open to page 21 of your service leaflet. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, the ruler of all things in heaven and earth, hear our prayers for this parish family. Strengthen the faithful, arouse the careless, and restore the penitent. Grant us all things necessary for our common life, and bring us all to be of one heart and mind within your holy church. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Now we can sing. Please don't go. Alfred, may you come forward? Ray, may you come forward? We didn't honor our retiring vestry members. Come on, Ray. So Ray and Alfred both served on the vestry, and Alfred served 2 terms. Ray served a term, but he wants to rest his legs a little bit before he comes back on the vestry. But we want to thank you for your ministry. Thank you. And we have gifts for you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for serving. Thank you. All right, now you may leave. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.